So we talked about this a lot about this massive IoT, right? So it should be whatever you think. So power efficient for the smart cities or with plans, and then the low complexities, smart homes and remote sensors. It's going. We can use that, and then a long range. No, utility metering. Okay. So utility metering means let's say when you have a say if I'm going to know I'm an operator, I'm going to provide the IoT for your utility metering. Okay, let's say it's a water or electricity, anything. So if I do long range coverage for one city, right, one city, I should be, if you look at this, the capacity and then range which has 5G has, I should be able to do it in a one tower. That is what the 5G. So if I am giving the government or everybody decided, the operator also decided to keep this services, they will simply need one tower to cover. They can cover. And then how? So a lot of how they say no. Even to talk about people talk about in massive internet things, we can use even millimeter wave. I think you people might have heard about the millimeter wave. So the millimeter wave, it brings in lot of capacity, in terms of transmitting data. So it has its own advantages and then issues. Okay. Let's say if you take about a millimeter wave, uh, say it can bring in, let's say your normal your Wi-Fi or the traditional networks, right? Say uh, it might have some X is the capacity it can bring in. So I'm saying that X plus 200 times it can bring in millimeter wave. There are a lot of varieties there than 5G. So millimeter wave. Say if somebody wants to use millimeter wave in IoT, it has a lot of capacity. I'm saying that's one the traditional, the existing technology. Let's say it's bringing X capacity, right? So the millimeter wave can bring in X plus 200. Okay, it's that much time. 200 times it can bring in more than your traditional Wi-Fi or the cellular network, whatever existing. But it has its own challenges because you say millimeter wave can't penetrate some of the objects. Right? It can't penetrate deep. Okay. So those kind of issues, the practical issues we need to address for the IoT to use even millimeter wave. Then we talked about mission critical control services. So the high reliability, autonomous vehicles, industrial automation, robotics, and aviation. So you see this one is operating so ultra low latency even operate your aircraft. This is what I would say aviation, right? You can even operate your aircraft. So it's even for your military services, right? So your military services, security services, and simply you will be able to remotely operate your aircraft. You can do anything on that to operate, give instruction, which is the ultra low latency within 1 millisecond it reach, you can operate. And then high availability. Anyway, you have a medical and an energy smart grid, right? So these are the services are high availability. It's required. It's 24/7. These services should be available. So that can be achieved in a 5G. In all your mission critical control services can be achieved easily in a 5G. So we talked about all three, right? Three things. Enhanced mobile broadband and the mission critical services and then the IoT, massive Internet of Things. So I was telling you which has a different carrier. Right? Initially when I talked about the carriers. So I was telling the segregated frequencies means carriers to to achieve all of them. It's not that I have one carriers to achieve all of them. Okay, so if say below 1 GHz, no, it has longer range because when the operator want to do a longer range, they can take this frequency, less than 1 GHz carriers to apply, IoT devices, Internet of Things. And then 1 GHz to gigahertz. It's a wide bandwidth. Okay. And then this no, it has wide bandwidth where we can achieve uh, 10 Gbps of throughput. So this category, what you're talking about, which can is mobile broadband, where we see this one is for your Internet of Things, and this is for your mobile broadband, where you can achieve in throughput in Gbps. And then the frequency greater than 6 Hz. So where we're saying millimeter wave. This is what you're saying, millimeter wave. So this can be also used extreme bandwidth, okay, for shorter range, because the millimeter wave cannot travel much distance. Okay, and then that's it can cover density, but it can travel much. Okay, it can mean the coverage it can't. I mean, it can be shorter, but you have 200 times of the capacity. So this can used for your XC mobile broadband also, plus your Internet things also. It's operator choice. We have three carriers to adopt to achieve EMBP, what I was saying, enhanced mobile broadband and mission critical, and then Internet of Things. And then one more, the 5G bring in one more big advantages. Let's say talk about this operator is already has the 4G services, right? So they just with the 4G, right? They just want to adapt the 5G also. They just don't want to replace that completely directly 5G, right? So the devices, whatever 5G devices comes, right, each can at the same time. I'm talking about at the single connection, single mobile with a single operator. It can connect to, you can directly up to the Wi-Fi. It can connect to 4G, okay, and then it can connect to 5G also. So which has possibilities, it's a deployment model. It's in 5G. So if they say initially there is standalone, if I deploy, the operator deploy only 5G, it's a standalone 5G services. Okay. There is a category, one more, non-standalone. I allow a 5G through 4G. So the device which attached to the 5G can have a one more radio connected to the 5G, and then it can meet, let's say, this. So the user is attached to the 4G services, and then he sees that he is not able to, to cope up with the speed or the delay what it's giving 4G. It can offload the part of the same services, right? So say one of the bearers, we talked about one of the data bearers established here. It can, this 4G service can split that, the data to the 5G also. So it will get the data can be, data can come to the 4G, and then it can, over the air, it can go to 5G also, through 5G also, or over the air, it can go to 4G also. That's the beauty of 5G. Either you can directly attach to the 5G, or you can attach to the 5G, and then you can use the 5G as well. 4G plus 5G. Okay, that is one of the advantages in a 5G. Okay, so let's say if you in the 5G, it's bringing because of 4G, so we can enhance the 4G towers to support 5G, or you can standalone 5G tower, so you can apply. So this is what the major thing in 5G slicing. So whatever we're saying, I have talked about three things, right? EMBP, enhanced mobile broadband, mission critical, and IoT. So the slicing is the one is going to achieve a high availability. Okay. So slice means, say particular operator can slice their network based on their services, right? So for your smartphones, I can give one of the slice, one of the separate tower, or even the same tower also, we can reserve the bandwidth for say X number for your smartphone. And then this for your mission critical services, what is the delay and bandwidth required, that can be reserved so that this services will not get disturbed. And we can achieve this, and then this also IoT also. So particular operator can slice their network based on the deployment scenario. That's called slicing. That's a major role in the 5G. So you see that typically you'll see horizontal and vertical slicing, right? It's whether you can do as the same mentioned, slicing method can be horizontal or vertical. So typically traditional slicing, how it works, you see the developer wise, developer wise or whatever, they'll always see that okay, vertical slicing is easy, but in practical, the vertical slicing, I mean, this is what you're saying is horizontal slicing, right? What you're saying is horizontal slicing. If you talked about the vertical slicing, it's bit looks to be for the developer or the tester or the operator, it might look easy, but it has its own challenges. So if you do the vertical scaling, let's say one of the systems, so let's say one of the system is your tower software is running, or the Node B or the GNB software is running. It has one end capacity, right? So you can't scale vertically unlimitedly, but you can scale if you scale it in a horizontal way, right? So you can put that one more system and then you can bring up one more instances. That's horizontal scaling. So the 5G natively adapt, okay, the horizontal scaling. See, the slicing also can be done from end to end, from your RAN, from your user, from your core network, everywhere you can do the slicing, which has the 5G natively bring in this slicing, where you can reserve the bandwidth to achieve the high availability, and then easily see if you look at this your cloud technologies, let's say your Amazon or Kubernetes, we call it as a Q8, right? K8. There's all this cloud technologies. See this all of them. So with the slicing, right, you can use Amazon or the K8, all your cloud technologies. I just little want to touch about why the 5G is, how this 5G is faster. Okay, why? How it is getting faster. In 4G, we call it as a system frame. This is your bandwidth. Okay, this is a bandwidth. This is your system frame. And over the air, we call it as a system frame, which will be splitted into 10 subframes. Each subframe is 1 millisecond. What are you saying? This is 1 millisecond bandwidth. This is your 1 millisecond bandwidth. This is your 1 millisecond bandwidth. So it means you can send the packet every 1 millisecond from the RAN side, right? So that's why we're saying from your internet to reach your device, it's taking a minimum of 15 millisecond delay, right? That is best case scenario. But in 5G, this same subframe rate, you can cut into 2. It means in the same bandwidth, like say this is the whole bandwidth, right? Then if you cut it, you're not cutting the whole bandwidth. You are just the full amount of bandwidth, even 0.5 milliseconds also available. Okay, you can 0.5 millisecond, you can send the data to the mobile twice, right? In this one subframe. And then you can cut the same subframe into 4 pieces, 0.25 milliseconds. I mean, 4 times you can schedule. So how the capacity is increasing? So from your 4G to 5G, how the capacity is getting? So 0.25 milliseconds. So in the same subframe, you can schedule 4 times. And the same subframe, you can do the same capacity at 8 times as well. If you cut it on 8 pieces, it is 1.125 milliseconds. So now you understood. Now you can know that how we are achieving the 1 millisecond delay. This is the reason. So why you have in your 4G you are not able to achieve this the delay requirement for your EMBP or your mission critical services is how we are achieving the same delay requirement in 5G. This is the reason. So the 1 millisecond delay, even we can cut down to 0.125 milliseconds, which means the end-to-end delay we can meet at is 1 millisecond. That's why we are achieving the mission critical services. Okay, so the cloud native architecture. So the architecture itself, okay, it's a cloud native architecture. So we have a different set of deployment options. So you look at here, you can run all the layers, all your the RAN layers in a single binary, okay, which is also possible, which is what we've seen in a 4G. I mean, 4G, later 4G also has some disaggregated options where they can split the things. So your core can run in a cloud, and all other layers can be in a one single box. So you talked about, when you have what is the challenge is when you have all the software in a single box, there only you see a bottleneck. What's the bottleneck it brings? You can't scale, right? So vertically, you have to scale your software vertically. What again? You have to increase one more here only. So in the single box has in capacity, right? You can't scale more. That's where the limitations, what you see. So if you look at the other option, what you're saying, you can take some of the layers, let's say RRC and PDCP. These are the layers in your 4G and 5G. You can split them and then put it in a cloud. Okay, you can put it in a cloud because these are not very much delay sensitivity. So if you look at your over the air where you have a radio frequency, air L1, and then lower MAC, which is very, very main part of this radio, any telecom technology. So these are the things can be co-located and this can be splitted. So what you're saying in the cloud, NFV architecture, you can put up the cloud. And then what do you think? NRT. NRT means non-real-time requirements. These are the layers like say L3, RRC, L2, PDCP. These are non-real-time entities. The real-time entities are these guys. No, the lower MAC and L1 and RF. These are the lower MAC. Okay, so you can split these options. Okay, you can put it in a cloud. So when you split it, and then these pieces also can be separately you can split. Okay. So if you see this hardware wise, you have a very limitation in your L1 side, the RF side only. So you can make a small hardware to run your PHY and RF, and then of course the lower MAC, and the remaining things you can put it as a normal x86 machines, normal system machine you can run it. Okay. So that's why you see this all the split. There's options. So you can split this NRT, RT, or you can even still say with the 5G, one more thing, even you can split this even in the RT also. See here we have splitted RLC, MAC, and then even the lower 5, right? So this is like what you're saying through CPRI cable. So you see the RT frontal, what you're saying, the blue color RT frontal. You see this, it's a real-time entity. Okay, this can go through the CPRI. So what you're saying, say some place where you can't have a much facility to deploy, you can just get the service simply through the CPRI cable. So the CPRI cable can meet the delay requirement up to 15 kilometers. So 15 kilometers where you have one city and then you want to cover a rural area, 15 kilometers you can bring in your RF, the radio frequency broadcasted through the CPRI cables. And then this option, what you're saying, so we are splitting into one more part. What you're saying, this L15, and then we can split this to multiple. So when you split it, you can scale. So you have a limitations where, say this is like, say, let's take, this is your hardware. Okay, this is your hardware. This hardware has a limitation. So okay, it should not be, cost should not be more. So we can build it small things. Okay, you can put multiple of the hardware. So let's say in this case, if you look at, if I want to do all the things I have to, all the cost I have to incur to increase this capacity. So because I have this capacity only I want to increase. I have this enough capacity for this software. So wherever I need capacity, I can split them and then I can increase the capacity instead of doing it in a single box. And then we can put different clouds. So let's say for your L3 RRC can be run in Amazon. Okay, it can run it in any cloud technologies, whatever existing, right? All of them can run in cloud technologies. So this is what your RT. So what do you think? The L15 and RF. These are the RT which needs to run in the hardware. Okay, which is very much dependent on the hardware. So that's why I say cloud RAN. This all the part is cloud RAN. You can put the entities which are non-real time, put it under the cloud, and then scale your hardware, small pieces. And then service-based architecture. there is a community. It's working. It's called VORAN. So what we talked about earlier is the deep awareness. So initially when we talked about deep awareness, right? So what is the deep awareness? So what you're saying this, Rick, the RAN intelligent controller. What we talked about artificial intelligence. We made out. Initially we talked about artificial intelligence, right? So this is what I was saying. This hypothetical scenario taken. So when you integrate the artificial intelligence, it can take decision. It can learn from the behavior, and then give inputs to your RAN, which can improve the user experience. So if you look at service-based architecture, so what I think is, we can split all of them into the simple services. Let's look at this. So from your RIC controller, you will have a non-time RIC controller, which will control all the components, all the services. Okay, this is one of your, the RAN component. This is one of the RAM component. This is all NRT. This is what we say. This is all NRT. You see here, this is also, if you see ODU, okay, this is also connected to the non-real time. But again, this input goes to your this is real time RIC. This goes to non-real time NIC also. This A1. Even you can take a look at this, the non-real time, whatever learning. From there also you can inject, operate your RAN to give a much better experience to the user. Even this ORAN, even giving interface to your eNodeB also, which is nothing but your 4G services. Okay, so this one, whatever talking about the hardware, right? Whatever we are talking about, white boxes, peripheral hardwares, right? This is the one that what you're talking about for your transmitting the radio frequency, right? This you can put, this all code can be controlled based on the inputs. So whatever is the component you do, right? You can feed the input to the RAN intelligent controller. Then finally, you can integrate your algorithm of artificial intelligence algorithm, and then take a decisions in service-based architecture. Yeah. So if you look at this, what is the career path or the job opportunities in this? I think you all here, you might have known already. If you say that I'm a 5G developer or tester, right? You are the hot cake in the market currently. If you just Google it, just see the 5G opportunities. It's lot of opportunity for your developer and testers. If you know bit overall, it's a new technology, right? If you know the bit about the overall, you can just immediately get the job in the market. The impact of the 5G, if you talk about, right? I mean, what are you saying that network meet the clouds? So it's not only bring the jobs in the your normal your testing and developer. It's even it brings the cloud. It brings the cloud, artificial intelligence, right? And IoT, everything is bringing in. That's why the 5G is a massive technology. It's very, very massive. That's why, if you see one of the survey, it says 22 million people needed in telecom industry by 2035. The way the 5G is shaping up. So if you know, this is the right time. I would say this is the right time to enter into the 5G market. If you know this 5G technology a little bit overall, and get in and then learn it, and then you can another. It's going to be the 20-35 years evergreen market in the telecom industry, the 5G job. Yeah, that's all I want to cover.